picking that on this patch, but like the previous patch,
right? Sorry, you were scaring me with all the left talk.
No.
I'm worried.
We saw him like for the first couple of matches of 11.3, and everyone very quickly realized that wait, actually, this is not good anymore.
Yeah.
And everyone was happy. Everyone rejoiced, and Olaf has not been seen since. Honestly,
oh my God.
Okay, well, very nice. Ban away that rich comfort pick. But honestly, actually both of are they just gonna completely? I actually wouldn't mind it at all. Just ban like all of Rich's champions and then say, "Good luck, buddy."
I mean, this is about it. We're getting towards the end of the thing. Well, I guess
my point.
Renekton. You could ban Renekton. He's okay at that one too. Jace is another option.
I'm not really afraid if Rich locks in Renekton.
Love the Thresh ban. Targeted, of course, at Doctarm and Kellen. Yeah. Because the Aphelios Thresh is something that they've abused in the past.
You want to ban one of them, right? Because otherwise you lock in something on B1 and then Nongshim goes Aphelios Thresh. Yeah. I think 100% of the time. Like, there's no reason for them not to. They've looked the best when they do actually secure that that combination. And it's interesting because even though the score would suggest otherwise, I would give the edge to Liiv Sandbox here because from a stylistic point of view, I think Nongshim has a better shot at teams like, I'm thinking about like something like KT that plays decently slow. Damwon Kia play a little bit slower, but they're like really, really good, so it doesn't really apply there. But I think KT's a really good example of a team, or Hanwha Live in some games, where they actually give you the laning phase, right? Like you can actually take the time, you can farm up to your first item, and then you can start fighting. And that is something where Nongshim excels. Like, well, we give Rich a lot of, I think, deserved flack for his laning phase, but when it comes to his actual team fighting and his prioritization of targets, it's really, really good. Renekton and Italy is like, it's such a tried and true combination, but for Nongshim, this is not a Gen G, right? Like, this is not a team where, like, I have the confidence that you lock this and then you're actually gonna fully leverage it. And Liiv Sandbox, they already got the Seraphine, which is broken. And then if they lock in something like Kai'Sa here, pick up a strong jungler for themselves, then you're already looking super solid. With flex potential as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want them not to pick a mid lane here. I think they might be thinking about maybe picking away something like a Syndra, just because it has been paired so much with the Nidalee Renekton that we do see fairly often. But Graves is going to be coming in instead, and this does mean that the Seraphine does get a fair bit more value as a mid lane option, because there is a lot of damage coming through from the potential ganks in the mid lane. I like it a lot, and also fits Croco's playstyle. We're seeing it, you know, this is definitely some carry jungle playoff between Peanut and Croco.
Oh, hello there.
Here we go, back to the Tristana as the Kai'Sa answer.
But it can also be a Seraphine mid answer.
Oh.
So it actually
Damn, we are like actually covering a lot of bases here.
Yeah, it works in two ways.
Oh, another accidental baseball reference. Oops, I was supposed to not know anything about that sport.
I mean, yeah, no, I know that reference obviously, but I still don't. I also never watched a game of American football in my life.
Really?
No, never.
Wait, you've never seen Remember the Titans and stuff?
I've watched a game of cricket. Like that's something.
Didn't you live in England? How could you avoid cricket? I don't think you could avoid it, could you?
I don't know. Like, do you think I went to England and then went to pubs and did stuff and not just sit and like play League of Legends?
Point. That is a good point.
Like watch League of Legends and cast League of Legends, because that's pretty much it, to be completely honest. But the main takeaway there is that yeah, it's not really popular in the Netherlands. We're really good at field hockey and long distance ice skating, and that's
long distance ice skating. That sounds exciting. We don't have enough distance of ice.
Koreans Korea's actually really good at short track, but we're like one of the best in the world, because it's like one of those super niche things that only we have, like, you know, like this whole ice skating culture.
That's actually really sweet.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine like Canada could probably relate to a lot of, you know, ice-related activities, stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't win in anything else, so, you know, you got to take your win somewhere, as we do see Leona, which to me is a signal that it will indeed be the counter pick to the Kai'Sa here, as Leona Tristana is like one of the oldest, cheesiest level 2, I'm going to definitely all in you, haha.
Yeah, I know, and the Alistar was banned, and the Alistar is the quintessential. Like, that's going back to even Season 1, you know?
Yeah, no, that one has been around even longer. The thing with the Nongshim comp here, though, is that they are actually, like, straight up, full-on aggro comp, right? Like, you have a strong top side, you have a strong bot side, you can probably pick up something like, you already mentioned the Syndra here, right? Something that shoves, that blows up people, and you're done. You're golden. And honestly, you know, Nongshim, I'd love to be convinced. Completely okay with that. I am skeptical though, specifically. Oh yeah, put him. He doesn't want to. Put him on side duty.
Poor Summit.
Let's go.
Poor Summit.
So you know, like the thing with the Sion matchup specifically is that even though Sion can still survive that matchup, a powered Renekton W's just break your Soul Furnace shield. And
yeah,
like,
that's a roughie.
That's just really sad. Oh, do it, Bay. Yes, please.
I would love this.
It's where he looked the best. It's super good setup for the Nidalee.
That's absolutely not what we
wanted. That's not the turn we were looking for. Because I don't think you want late game insurance with this comp. I think you just accept that if like the early game doesn't go well, you just lose.
It's
like,
a ride or die. Let's just do the ride or die.
Because look at the Liiv Sandbox comp. Why do you want late game insurance? They have Seraphine Sion.
Yeah, screw that. That's just not happening.
It's just not going down. And I guess the one upside of the Azir is that you have a little bit more threats or post 6 on champions like the Seraphine. But I'm not convinced. I think base set was like, that was what he used to beat Faker, right? Like it was Faker's TF, and it was really, really, really good. It sets up well.
And also gives them a great damage profile for Peanut to be that big carry, like we know he can do.
Aww.
It is a bit sad. I agree with you. And you're right. Late game insurance need not apply to Sion, Seraphine, Graves, Kai'Sa. Yeah, like I'm opting out of that one. I'm if we're going past 30 minutes, I'm packing it up. I'm gonna call the destruction of the Nexus, and I'll leave the desk, and you can take care of all the tidy up here for Liiv Sandbox. That being said, they still do need to survive to that point, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Nongshim Redforce can actually do here with the pretty cool new tech in the Tristana as the answer to the Kai'Sa. We could expect a lot of aggression down there, and the quintessential Renekton Nidalee that we've seen banned. It was banned all 3 games, right? Like the Renekton was taken away. We did have Nidalee jump through, but it is very different when they are not paired together. So I hope to see Nongshim playing towards that top side, and we'll see whether Summit can handle the pressure.
The interesting thing is that as Peanut, you can even choose to go for bot side, right? Like just cover them because you know they're going to be shoving, and they do want to look for aggressive plays. They do want to look for all-ins. So even in that scenario, like I wouldn't really mind it if they went for that. As classic Peanut, you know, you're playing against a 2 frontline composition, but you don't go Conqueror.
Yeah,
you go Electrocute because you're here to bot people, you know, and nothing going to stop him from that. As Fate has gone for the Unsealed Spellbook here, which I think is really interesting. I think generally Seraphines are more likely to go for something like the Airy, right, to actually help out with making your teammates even more survivable. Of course, if you play a support, we see a lot of Guardian coming through. And this will give you a lot more versatility, also give you access to the tree, which
the resolve nice tree is actually like pretty good for anyone that does like to do some healing and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad, because of course you do want to get that extra ability haste from the inspiration tree almost every single time. Yeah,
it's just really, it feels really, really good. And I think Sonya's is a super valuable item here as well. So I think as Fate, not actually entirely sure, because like generally with this kind of build path, you just want to go Moon Stuff. Future Fire, not really necessary here. It's just going to be Peanut, maybe Rich, but even that is not really worth it, I think. As I think the early avenues here for both junglers will be Croco looking to kind of make sure that Summit's fine, and then Peanut making sure that Summit is not fine. Because this is, even though, like I said, I think that Renekton can actually bully this matchup decently. When push comes to shove, as Sion, you get up to the point where you have like plated steel caps if you want to go for that. Or you have a Bramble Vest, right, and you have your Balmy Sin there, and you're still like completely even. It actually does become fairly hard to really make a dent in that matchup.
No, I agree. And I think that maybe they'll need to have a little bit of help making sure that Rich can keep Summit as irrelevant as possible. There's deep little ward there coming down for Fate. Spots out exactly where the Nidalee is. Oh my goodness, she's just makes so much noise, Chronicler. We actually played this, didn't we? You were Seraphine on the bottom side of the map, or was that Brendan? I think we had at least a game of it as well.
I have been a Seraphine enjoyer because she's free elo, you know.
She is definitely that. That's good. I do need to turn game sounds off often, which does make the experience a lot less. It's just constantly. I'm constantly singing stuff.
I'm a weeb aficionado. I do not care as Peanut.
Oh no, misses the spear that Croco couldn't see. And yes, Peanut's just going to hop on out of there.
Oh, buddy.
He's gonna say, nope, this is, I want to redo. And okay, no worries. Fate rotates over, and that's a reset on the blue buff, so not really helping at all. And Croco is going to be fine.
No. Peanut.
He's back.
Level up.
Let's try again. Yeah, does get his red buff down. They both have smites available. So you see that health bar going down. That is going to be the denial. And Peanut's getting his Nidalee things done pretty early. There's a spear. That's going to miss as well.
If Croco doesn't get this scuttle, which I don't think he's going to be able to, because Dogdom and Callan actually have prio, thanks to the power of this early game, Tristana and Leona, as well as the E. It's actually going to be a really good start.
Ooh,
Teleport comes in.
Teleport. My goodness, Seraphine making her way down towards the bot side as we'll see whether the beat drop does actually land, and it does there onto Kellen. However, the answer is there from Peanut as Croco's just fighting him off to the bottom side. There's the rocket jump reset, and Docdom just says, thank you very much for that one. And we said this would be a bloodbath, and it absolutely has delivered already. As Rich trying to get some work done towards the top side as well. But not going to be able to get any kills, and I got a little bit more excited than I should have because that's a Scion.
Yeah. That being said, that was a really, really action-packed play on the bot side there, and it's actually, interestingly enough, Liiv Sandbox that goes for that. Seraphine is not Syndra, right? Like, this is not a champion where you can make a play like that, and like, even if you hit your damage, it's Tristana Leona. You knew Peanut was pathing over there, so if you don't hunt it to zero someone, like, you can't really commit to that play. Bay immediately responds. And Docdom is, we said it before, like I think he's super solid.
Oh, Peanut. He's setting up the shooting gallery as Liiv Sandbox. They might miss a bit of this as Peanut's going to start his back, but continuing to try and threaten given how dark the map is right now. And Nongshim just get themselves a pretty decent reset timing.
We have seen what happens when Tristanas get fed, Atlas. Like, we know what happens. It's not good. And even with how good the Liiv Sandbox comp is, they don't actually have a great way to get on top of Tristana later on. The fact that they hook Callan here, who can basically tank all this damage, and they invest so much into trying to kill him, means that, like, so much damage that should have gone into Docdom just gets used on Leona that, frankly, clearly doesn't care. Docdom gets the reset as well, because he gets all the autos off on the E, which means he can, you know, jump in, jump out, and not really be at any threat at any point in time. And as mentioned before, you knew Peanut was coming. So just a questionable decision there from Liiv Sandbox. Like, I like that they want to try and play aggressive, but this is not the comp for that. You don't actually need to do anything. You can, like, just sit tight and farm up to your first item, and then maybe look for something.
Yeah, I think that Kellen actually just played that extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
We don't talk about cooldown prioritization all that often, but he sees the teleport come in, holds onto the Shield of Daybreak and the Zenith Blade, and then uses that to not only CC Fate, but also taxi his way out, which was really beautifully done.
Oh, beautiful.
So I like it. Yep. Presses the Eclipse, soaks all the damage, and then you know, saves Aftershock for after it wears off. Like, it's just, there's a lot of really cool stuff that he utilized. And we don't talk about Leona mechanics all the time because she is, of course, a pretty binary champion. Did she land Zenith Blade or not? It was often the question.
This is the Nidalee, you know, like the Nidalee that's in your game, even though she shouldn't be.
Yeah, this is because
she's way too good. You're like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Not enjoying this as they go in.
Yeah, there's the dredge line out from Effort as we do have the Encore getting a bit of work done, but the Emperor's Divide is even better. The Leona locks down one kill. The rocket jump is going to be used for Docdom to get himself out of there. I have no idea where the red buff went, but it wasn't onto Peanut, and Nongshim are going to be able to tidy this one up. It's only one kill. That being said, all of this early aggression will only help Nongshim Redforce, who really need to get themselves early advantages.
might have been wrong. I was like, Azir, you know, you're really going to make it work. Why do you go for the set? But if Bay plays as aggressive as this, if he goes for like super deep Shurima shuffles this early on in the game, I'm here for it. And as you said, you need to do this as Nongshim, right? Like, do you specifically want to like flip it over a red?
Whoa, he flashed the beat drop. Rich is pulling out the sick mechanics. Are we back? Is this the real Hots Faker as Peanut uses Croco as a bit of a taxi? But Fate was absolutely dead. It's in fact just a solo kill there from Rich. I don't know whether the flash was all that necessary, but it looked super cool, so I'm giving it to him.
I am, I said, you know, I need to be convinced by Rich and Peanut, like whether they're actually going to utilize the full power of this Nidalee Renekton. They haven't won the game yet, but I am starting to feel more and more convinced, and I think that goes for everyone that is, you know, a big fan of Nongshim Redforce. I think somewhere in the distance I can hear Wolf.
Yeah, me too.
And you're like, yes!
It's like he's wiping this single tear out of his eyes, like, don't smoke water right there.
And the fact that a 3-man taunt still isn't enough is like exclusively because Bay gets that shuffle, right? Like otherwise, you're basically funneled down a tiny choke point where Graves and the damage from the Seraphine is going to like absolutely demolish you. And this is just honestly, I think even if you hit the slow down, like it's just a slow. I think Rich still just kind of...
Yeah, no, Peanut was also coming right up.
This is another scenario where like the Seraphine finally does come through, and I feel like this is one of those situations where a champion in scrims and like in actual games just gets banned permanently, so that when you do get a player, you're like, hold up, I have not actually played this in like an official capacity. This is kind of rough.
Yeah, and you sort of like, you don't quite understand your timings as well, you know, and I think that like that is, you know, part of the reason why a lot of these permabanned champions don't perform as well as they could. However, this is still early days, and we mentioned the fact that Liiv Sandbox are happy to play for the extended game. Dom as well, I mean, he's going to be happy late game, drawing a bead and making sure that he can shoot safely, and has already demonstrated some pretty sick Tristana play. As we've seen, 1-0 and 2 now. And across the board, things going very, very well.
I'm super impressed. Like, I thought that Liiv Sandbox was going to be the team that was kind of able to weather the storm as...
Yeah, Solar Flare gets the cleanse. You'll trade that any day of the week. Croco is going to find Bay face checking. But he gets over the wall with his shifting sands, and now Peanut, he's found his way through. That was not a missed spear, by the way. That's more value, more damage. There's a fight towards the bottom side as well. Killer Instinct and the Buster Shot to help get Prince out of there. But Dom makes up for it by just flashing forward and grabbing him. Multiple resets later, and Nongshim should be able to get towards this Mountain Drake if they would like it.
Yeah, this is... what were you saying earlier, Atlas, about like how if Liiv Sandbox gets up 30 minutes and the game isn't over, we're done?
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like it's the opposite, where we're going to reach 15 minutes and we're like, actually, guys...
Yeah, well, it is still over.
Pack the bags and leave it at that. Rich is stealing blue buffs. I don't think he should actually get away with this, but basically what we're seeing here is it all snowballs very, very quickly from... we also can get a Cloud Soul, by the way. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Earth, wind, and fire.
Yeah, what we're seeing here is like that early investment, right, coming out towards the bot side from Liiv Sandbox in an attempt to punish, has accelerated the team that was already building leads, right? Like, there was already a double scholar for Peanut, sure, but that in of itself doesn't really break your back. But trying to force plays like this as well definitely does. Prince is just getting absolutely demolished by this counter-pick Tristana. And we talked about Dom's Aphelios, but we gotta definitely give a shout out to his Tristana, because the thing with Tristana for me is that it's so easy to jump in when you shouldn't, and thus far Dom has only jumped in when he should.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very clear line, but it's definitely not. And this is starting to like approach unsurmountable amount of goal, right? Because it might not look like as much, but this is 3K on 12 minutes, right? It's not 20 minutes.
And this is also a comp that wants to pop off mid-game rather necessarily than right now. And this is a bunch of plates going over to Dr. Arm, goes and collects them. Peanut is continuing to make sure that Croco is eliminated from his ability to get into the jungle. And this should just extend, right? You can see how many camps Peanut has available, but Croco has absolutely no right to enter that side of the jungle at all. And so the fact that Peanut is able to just deny Graves so much means that he's barely going to be a champion come the mid to late game transition, as another off cooldown Solar Flare comes out, but the answering teleport's going to have to come in through pretty quick as Kellen tanks up all of the damage forever and then flashes out of the way of any sort of re-engage as Rich slices out of the decimating smash, and Liiv Sandbox, all 5 members, now stacked up towards the bottom side, desperately trying to hold on to this game.
10 party people in the bot lane, we're all there. We called in the beginning that it was good. Might be devolved into a little bit of a party. It definitely has. Although, honestly, that is, again, like, kind of a repeat of the play we saw initially. As Liiv Sandbox just don't get to play the game, right? Like, I'm actually pretty perplexed.
Are they
like,
still here, you know? Like,
so the thing is that you see this draft, right? And like we go about, okay, you do have the really strong early game in the top side. You have a Tristana and Leona, but especially in the LCK, we've been burned so many times where we see like Lee Sin was a good example. It was like super aggressive pick, and then people just sit and farm for like 15, 20 minutes, right? And I'm really happy to see this trend of LCK teams actually just like face rolling people. And like sometimes it looks super bad, right? Like sometimes your comp goes horribly wrong. I think the games yesterday that T1 play were a really good example of that, where like you have a very clear game plan, but then if the game
it doesn't work, sometimes it's tails.
If the game plan is that clear and like you screw it up at literally the second, third minute, then it feels really bad. But I think it's way better than what has plagued the LCK in the past, which is where we don't really do anything for the entire year, and then you meet like a G2 or an LPL team, and they just absolutely maul you.
And that it's because they're preying on the fact that there's been no experience outside of, like it's like they didn't get the agreement of no rush 20. We've had this conversation before quite a lot. Bit of a StarCraft reference if you guys don't get it. It's where, you know, you don't attack each other for the first 20 minutes to make sure that you can have some sick armies built up.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's not how League of Legends works, though. So I actually really like more of a focus on the early game, and I think that we certainly have had a bit of a transition to that with a lot of our teams. Damwon certainly able to play late game well, but they did sort of make a name for themselves by playing fast and loose.
I still wanted to get back to your StarCraft comparison, because like anyone who's ever been 2-rexed or 6-pooled know that like that's not how StarCraft works either.
Yep.
At least in competitive.
I'm pretty sure Parting just won ESL, and I've actually hung out with him, but he's notorious for just cannon rushing every game. Every game.
4 gates, you know, like all the vintage Void Ray cheeses, all possible, all completely fun and interactive type of gameplay. And I'm just overjoyed to see more teams opt into this early game aggression style, because right now, if you like Damwon Kia and you can always play to your outs aggressively well, then you can get away with not playing early game. But even they were like a team that did it really well during Worlds, where they grabbed control early and then never let it go. And Afrika playing aggressive in the early game, right? Like Liiv Sandbox, their best game was them just playing really aggro from start to finish. And now we're seeing Nongshim do the same. So I'm very, very happy about that.
And it's a 5,000 gold lead. It's been sticking like that for quite some time, as the Infernal Drake is available, ready to be taken. Nongshim not going to be taking their time like we saw in the previous series when it came to Drakes, and this one's going to be just tidied up there by Peanut. Liiv Sandbox spending some time on the top side of the map, so there is absolutely no way that they steal this one, as Kellen and Dr. Arm just trying to take the last little bit of health bar from this outer turret. However, Seraphine's going to be there, clears out the wave.
Thank you, Atlas. Well, back at it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is how things work. It was in my contract. They're like, we demand that you bring a few more clouds. It's necessary.
I feel like the joke has gone like full circle like 15 times, where it has, like, you know how sometimes jokes when you overdo them, they're not funny anymore, but then if you keep doing them long enough,
it's a Seth MacFarlane experience, you know, like, you know, Peter like falls down, hurts his knee. It's funny for the first bit, and then you like stop it, and then it's funny again. The re-funny. We might get like refunny on this one because it feels like it's lasted a very long time, and I'm getting a little bit tired of it, to be perfectly honest.
You are. I'm sure we are not getting tired of blaming you for something.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
If I can speak for myself.
It's also statistically untrue as well, but I'm happy to take the blame.
That's the best part of it. You're just getting blamed for something that, like, even if you could control it, like, statistically you're not.
Yeah.
And man, look at that gold on Dog Down. Like, we knew it was fat, but this is something else entirely. I also love that, didn't pay attention to this yet, but Dog Down is also going for what looks like a, there we go. Okay, he's already finished. I was gonna like build up to, he's gonna, you know what he's gonna finish next? It's gonna be Lord Dominix, and it's good because one of the ways that you do lose this game is if effort and something gets too tanky, which with the current gold lead is not very likely. But what you're saying here is Dog Down is basically, it doesn't even matter if you build armor, like good luck Chief. I'm gonna really kill you very, very quickly anyway. Even True Grit from Croco loses, like, I don't know, a lot of value just from the virtue of how strong this item is at the moment. So I'm a fan. I'm just really impressed by Nongshim because I didn't really expect this to go this.
No, neither did I. I don't think anyone did because they have been having pretty forgettable experiences as we may have cast a curse on Peanut. Gonna go golden before he gets knocked up as Rich getting turned on towards the backside. The Encore goes out but doesn't quite get the value. Emperor's Divide once again is just fantastic. As the Seraphine blows up as a result, Liiv Sandbox now scattered to the hills and Rich is chasing after them as this arcade Renekton. He looks cute and cool and colorful, but he is a dominating killing machine. And everyone is trying to run away. However, they're running the wrong direction. There is a turret here, and Sion is very tanky as Kellen looking to try and get over that wall, just wards it for now. And in the meantime, Shirley is going to get some work done. Slamming her noggin into some inhibitors. Does so in that mid lane, and they're just going to leave her there. Just having a bit of a party down here as Prince is going to tidy her up in the end.
This is a 9k gold lead for Nongshim Redforce. This game is just not really playable anymore for Liiv Sandbox. And I think contrary to the T1 game that we saw yesterday, right? Like I think game number 1 against Damwon Kia, where literally the first 2-3 plays went horribly, disastrously wrong. And that's just it. Here, it feels like Liiv Sandbox is position after position, and here, you're in a position where if you're not 100% certain that you can kill someone, you're not allowed to fight, right? Because you are so far behind, especially when you all clump up into a team that has so much AoE damage available, and we kind of, you know, like, Bay, I don't know about this Azir, buddy. But that's for every single ultimate that he's popped has been really, really, really good.
Peanut missing an NPC with a spear. Oh, and another one. There we go. Doesn't need it. It's fine.
Buddy.
Jonas Strong really trolling Peanut right there. We didn't need to watch him taking down a Rift Scuttler, but we did. So we saw it.
I think we did it.
I think some of the best junglers in the world do miss a lot of
Jankos has been memed for, like, I think the last week for his Nidalee Spears.
And doesn't he actually have a decently high accuracy statistic
well,
on the
not
champion?
only that, but, like, he's objectively, like, one of the best junglers in the game at the moment, right? Like, he's been parts of, like, the world's finals and semis, and, like, that's not somewhere where you get without being ludicrously good. And even they miss skill shots and spares.
There are certain people that are just like really good at taking memes though. And I feel like Jankos is definitely one of those. I think the entirety of G2's content. Yeah. Because like they dish out so many, right? You got to be able to take them. And I feel like most of them are aimed at grabs. We don't need to be talking about G2 right now as the Baron is being taken down here by Nongshim. And maybe we can actually talk about G2 because I have a feeling this game is 100% over. It's a 10k gold lead at 21 minutes into the game, and my friend Jake Spawn Tiberi, he told me that if you win a game before 25 minutes, it is 100% a shellacking.
A shellacking.
A shellacking.
Is it shellacking or
shellacking?
Oh, you have to like, okay.
Yeah.
Does it like refer to...
I mean, you could just say it's a Dutch accent thing, and you can say it whichever way you want.
Shellacking.
Shellacking. There we go. Perfect. That's absolutely fine.
I want to go back and like identify where it went wrong, because I think there's a couple of like lines of argumentation you can take. You can argue one wrong in the draft, where as Liiv Sandbox you basically give over full reign to Nongshim with this draft, right?
Yep.
But I don't think Nongshim have been in a place gameplay-wise where you'd expect them to do this. Even with a counter pick, right? Like even with a strong prior draft, and then it comes down to Liiv Sandbox just without really any clear plan or any clear spike that they've hit, just opt into like really aggressive all-in fights that you give up a lot of resources for, which if go the other way are just going to set you immeasurably far apart. They've done that twice, I think, and then that's really all that Nongshim needed. And you know, we don't like to say that games are over, but if it's this over,
I mean, Doctom's going to see to it pretty quickly. You just saw how long that inner turret lasted. It was not a large amount of time.
Sorry, 10.5. I shouldn't exaggerate. 10.5k gold lead here, and 3 Drakes.
Yeah. It's getting a bit yikesy as the first inhibitor has already been taken as we learnt. Shirley, of course, helping out on that one as Peanut. Looking for Summit here over to the side. He has absolutely no mana. Doctom's taking a red buff, so Nongshim just going to have to chill for a moment. Rich can slice over that wall, so he's going to be fine. It's Peanut. Still throwing spears out. Effort does have a shield, so he's going to be all right as this turret... Oh my god! The explosive charge value is nutty as Solar Flare just going to find a slow as now Summit sets up a decimating smash for what feels like absolutely no reason as the second inhibitor will fall down. And this Scion, man, it just hasn't been able to participate in this game at all.
Well, that's better than dying, though.
I mean, that's true, but part of his passive is dying. Is they're going to go for the engage, the Hail Mary. They get rid of Doctom. That's a great start to this one. Is now Prince trying to fight it out. Bay goes golden, and I think the wallets are too heavy. Chronicler is in the backline. It's Summit. He is still very tanky, and Azir taken down means a lot of the damage is now missing. Peanut still has no mana, and there goes Callan. So Nongshim definitely bit off more than they could chew. And they're going to just, sheepishly get themselves out of here.
The real tragedy there is this could have been a perfect game. They had 3 Drakes, they lost 0 turrets, they lost 0 kills.
True.
They actually could have done it. And, I mean, they're trying to go for the end there. It's immeasurably greedy, and it's just the depth charge combined by Summit finding a really nice engage there, and then once Doctom is gone, you're entirely relying on Bay to do damage. Bay's tanking and inhibiting.
And Fate threw an encore into Narnia as well, and they still won the fight.
Yeah, but like, this is Nongshim. You know, we were having some fun. We were talking about other regions, talking about some fun banter between teams. This is Nongshim having fun, right? Like,
yeah.
Even despite this, you just 5-man group out towards top side, and then you just play it out from there. Because the problem is that in a normal world, what happens is Liiv Sandbox at some point reaches a point of tankiness where Nongshim, they can still win fights, but either need to like blow someone up very quickly, or they need to like try and still find a front line for Doctom, which is kind of hard, right? It's not something that you really have the tools for. You can play very forward very well, but then there's the problem of the Seraphine that really kind of... Oh, come on, Doctom. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Oh no, there's the flash and doesn't make it over the wall. Goodbye. That was weird. I think there was a lot of visual bugs during that particular moment.
He flashed and then he was like mid-jump.
Yeah,
like
and then he got interrupted or something.
I don't... Okay, listen. Still in 9k gold lead, but we've gone from 11k to 10k to 9k.
Yeah.
Just Nongshim, just group S5 on top side. Don't like keep trying to...
We're gonna need the comeback question mark KEKWs in chat. If you don't mind.
Get started, Atlas.
Yeah, look at look. I can see the bottom of the river. You know, the cross section of this body of water that's very red. I think we're supposed to come up the shore, aren't we? Isn't that how this game goes? Unless it's a coral reef. It might be a coral reef, and then it drops off a cliff at the end.
Yeah, but if it's a shore, it's not a river, right? It's a sea.
I think. Oh,
doesn't the river have like?
Oh, maybe bank.
Bedding?
Maybe it's a bank.
Or bank, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know whether a shore was only the ocean.
I don't know either. It's an interesting question.
That might be the truth.
It could be.
I've never thought about it. I just assumed that edge of water, shore makes sense. Let's go.
Yeah. So
let's get the replay. And
okay, well, no, I actually, never mind. I don't know what.
And Visual Bug City.
So maybe what happened there is like he went for the flash and then he he jumped.
Oh dear.
And then possibly the jump was then buffered, so it would have gone off after the hook, but then I don't know. Then it didn't. I'm hoping that was not actually like that's not actually what happened there, and we're gonna have to see what this game brings us. The unfortunate reality. Okay, it's
Prince anyway, so okay. It's all right.
We're probably fine. No, After a game like this, I hope that Liiv Sandbox can do what T1 did yesterday, which is where they just reset your mental, right? Like, accept, okay, guys, we just threw it in the first 10 minutes, and like the rest of the game, even though it feels really bad, doesn't matter. Like,
No.
you literally have no impacts anymore. Like, this is the thing where I know there's a lot of varying opinions on this, but this is where if it was StarCraft, like the forfeits would come through, right? And like,
Yeah, this is where you'd say like GG,
yeah,
you know, at
GG,
the end, you know.
and then you know they would forfeit and they would keep their mental. So I think in League it's really interesting because what this creates is this different kind of skill set that you need to learn. You need to be okay with just getting viciously beat, which is basically what happens to Sandbox here, right? Like this game could take 10 more minutes to finish if Nongshim Redforce is not playing it clean. That's possible. Like I could see that happen, and in that scenario, like you just spend the last 20 minutes of your game just playing and knowing you didn't ever have an opening, or like we're ever gonna win, and in StarCraft just doesn't happen. Although the upside of this is you can't forfeit a series that you don't actually lose to a hallucinated army, which I'm sure any StarCraft aficionados will remember that one.
Oh my god. Oh, that's a flashback.
It's basically the League equivalent of seeing like a fake Nico and then like flashing and immediately losing, FFing the game.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It was really good. Great moment. But in League of Legends, there's no forfeits, which means that Liiv Sandbox gonna have to look for openings. And openings in this scenario, due to these absurd item discrepancies, are gonna boil down to does Docdom jump in when he shouldn't? That's literally it.
Is Docdom going to die in a side lane? Is another question, because he's done that a couple of times. Spear being fished for, but Peanut not finding it. As we do have a Cloud Drake available. Cloud Soul for Nongshim. Heck yeah. As in goes Callan, gets a really good taxi ride. That is a very dead effort. Goodbye, my friend. As Rich off to the side. It's just trying to corral the rest of Liiv Sandbox. There is still an inner turret to be taken on the top side of the map, so the homework, you know, still due here for Nongshim. But they want to just get rid of this inhibitor first, while effort is dead.
It's like the side assignment, right? Like, you need to get the main assignment done as well, but this gives you extra credit.
Yeah.
Just makes
extracurriculars, you know.
Yeah, it makes the rest of your day a little bit easier.
Yep. Peanut finds another spear missing against a stationary target. A little bit unfortunate, but doesn't need to land them, to be perfectly honest. And this is going to be a casual Cloud Soul, as Rich does clear out this minion wave. Super Creeps heading their way down the mid lane, but they have stopped assaulting the bottom side of the map, as that inhibitor has just respawned.
Still shoving wave though, so like, I think you can even... Oh.
Bye-bye.
Rich, buddy. These are the type of things we talk about, like that. You cannot get caught there, right? Like, make sure that doesn't happen.
Hey, he did.
As Nongshim. I mean, he did.
Calculated. Obviously.
I mean, I don't know about that, Atlas. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Well, I know that Rich is absolutely safe now, and
he hasn't died yet this game.
Yeah. As that's a flash, that's going to get out of an Emperor's Divide, as Bay is going to spare effort from that one, who does have his flash available, of course. Soul Flare goes horribly awry.
God. So this is what happens if the spears do hit.
Yeah. Imagine if they hit all the time. As Evert's going in once again. Okay, Rich just standing and delivering. Effort straight up dies for it. Rich slicing and dicing around the backside of the map. They want to get rid of Fate, who does have that W. 3-man encore is much better than the last time around, but Nongshim are just not dying. In goes Docdom now. Presses the kill button. Doesn't even get to reset off that one because they're just dead way too fast. And goodbye, Liiv Sandbox. We're going to game number 2. Nongshim with an early game performance unlike anything we have seen from this team so far in 2021.
The Wolves are howling. Nongshim Redforce, absolute, as you said, a shellacking of a game.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, it's 29.5 minutes, so unfortunately, it's 4.5 minutes late. They missed out on the perfect game.